Coming up on the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast, what does Indiana's post-election economic forecast look like? A Microsoft veteran sets up shop in Indianapolis. Endangered Indiana updates efforts to save a historic hotel. A logistics company plans hundreds of new jobs. Elanco sharpens its focus on sustainability. An Indiana organization gives old technology new life. And we check in on the road to the Final Four in Indianapolis in April. Welcome to the Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. I'm Andy Ober. Although Election Day is in the rearview mirror, the ripple effects are just beginning. Taxes, jobs, healthcare, and the pandemic are all part of the economic equation moving forward. Ball State University Center for Business and Economic Research Director Mike Hicks and University of Indianapolis Associate Professor of Finance Matt Will joined Inside Indiana Business host Gary Dick to talk about how the economic picture is shaping up in Indiana.
I want to get your big takeaways. Matt, I'll start with you first. Is there a big takeaway you had from election night?
Yeah, the big takeaway I got is divided government. You know, the market really is more interested in stability than anything. The stock market likes the fact that things don't change a lot. And the fact that it looks like probably Biden's going to win and the Republicans are going to hold the Senate, from an economic standpoint, this is probably a good thing for the economy. So you're not going to see any dramatic changes. You're not going to see a very left-leaning agenda goes through. There's going to be compromise. You know, gridlock. The stock market actually likes gridlock. They like when things don't change. So I anticipate the result of the election is going to be some economic stability.
Okay, Mike, how about you? Your big takeaway?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, the electoral results point towards a strong centrist approach. Both the Democrats and the Republicans who won seem to be from the middle of their party, or at least, towards a centrist position. And I think, as Matt said, that's going to point towards compromise. It's not a sweeping election for change in substance, maybe in style, but not in substance.
All right. As we're taping this, the presidential race still not decided, perhaps leaning toward a president-elect Biden. Mike, from your view, if you're doing business in Indiana, what's your anticipation in terms of the impact? He has talked about raising taxes. There's the prospect of stimulus. What about it? What's your potential impact there?
Well, I think the divided government means we're probably not going to have major tax reform. I think we'll probably have COVID relief earlier rather than later, and that'll make things better for the Hoosier economy. One of the things that I think is important is the Biden administration's apt to end the trade war, or at least seriously ratchet down the trade war, which will be very important for Hoosier manufacturers. And at the end of the day, Governor Holcomb is going to work with the Biden administration to try to promote Indiana interests. And I don't think this is an outcome that ought to frighten anybody who may be wary of Democrats. We're in a period of, I think, probably stable fiscal environment. If we can get past COVID, I think we'll see some recovery. But we're a long ways away from getting through COVID.
Yep.
Gary, I'm probably not quite as optimistic as Mike on this one. The concern that I have is a second lockdown because, Indiana bounced back pretty well. We're up to over 500,000 manufacturing jobs as a result of the recovery coming back from the lockdowns. If we have another lockdown, you're going to see municipal budget crises. You're going to see more small businesses closing. I mean, Yelp had a good report where they announced that 60% of the businesses that were closed during the lockdown are permanent closures. And, when a president-elect Biden announced that possibly that he's going to do another lockdown, I think that's a serious concern, and I hope he doesn't go that route.
As you look at, Matt, I'll start with you. Obviously, Indiana, very manufacturing-intensive state. Ag is a big part of the economy. As you look at those sectors in a potentially a Biden administration, your outlook?
Indiana is going to benefit in some areas and be hurt in others. The big benefit is going to be manufacturing logistics. As people are at home and they're ordering online, they're going to have to transport those goods. They're going to go through Plainfield and Greenwood. And, it doesn't matter whether you're ordering something in New York or San Francisco, everything goes through Indiana at some point. So on that side, it's going to be good. We're going to maybe a restructuring of the entertainment industry. We had a robust entertainment industry here in the state. We employed 82,000 people in travel and tourism. That number will be significantly impacted as a result of this. Tax revenues, visitors, the wages those folks earn. So we're going to see a transition away from that. It's very visible, Gary. but it's only 2.5% of our gross state product is in tourism. So I'm optimistic that the distribution, logistics, and manufacturing are going to really carry the day.
Mike, I'll give you the last word on this one. I'm curious your take, irrespective of who's in the White House. How about the impact on state finances, city and county finances coming out of the pandemic? I know the potential is very concerning. What's your take on how 2021 and beyond might look for municipalities?
So, look, we have to really admit, despite a lot of the rhetoric about a V-shaped recovery, about 1 in 6 Americans and about 1 in 6 Hoosiers who were working in January are not working today. They're either out of the labor force because of childcare or they've lost their jobs. And that's going to pose a huge economic risk on any recovery that a COVID relief bill will help mitigate. And we're talking about a loss of tax revenues for state and local government between 5 and 8% this year and next year. It's going to lag into 2022 and 2023. And since states have to balance their budget, as do local governments, this really will call for the federal government to come in to prevent school teacher layoffs, local government layoffs, and that sort of thing. So, right, I don't believe we ought to be sanguine about the short-term economy, but I do think that one of the things that's going to be critical to get us to the next step is a COVID relief bill and an end to the disease. That's really going to be the dampening activity on everything that we do, including any sort of economic improvement.
Mike Hicks, Ball State University, Matt Will, Indy, great perspective. Thank you both for joining us. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
During his 13 years at Microsoft, Rob Colley led business intelligence efforts. Now he set up shop in Indianapolis with a business intelligence consulting firm called P3. Colley came on the show to talk about what that all means and what it's like to grow a business in Indiana.
Your background, you spent 13 plus years at Microsoft, one of the founding engineers on Excel 2007. Talk about P3, the company. Business intelligence is what it's all about. When we talk about business intelligence, we're talking essentially about data, right, and how to manage and understand data?
Yeah, that's right, Gary. It's about data and taking the data that your business collects on a day-to-day basis just as part of staying in business, but then using it in order to, looking at it and seeing what it's telling you about your business in order to improve and actually, improve the bottom line.
Okay, you launched the business P3 in 2016 or 2013. You've been in business about 7 years or so here in Indiana. How did your experience and being on the inside, if you will, at Microsoft, how did that influence the creation and how you're growing P3?
Well, it's one of those kind of once in a lifetime things where I just had almost the perfect, unique little background that I lucked into to see a change in the industry coming in advance. And so the business intelligence, the art of turning data into insight and improvement, for a very long time when I worked on it at Microsoft, was a very, very, very expensive and slow endeavor for any business to get involved in. And so only the absolute largest companies on the planet would ever even attempt sort of quote unquote real BI. Mm-hmm. And what I noticed, what we were working on at the time, in the early 2010s, was a new style of software that was going to change all of that. That was going to make it far, far, far more accessible to different sizes of organizations, and even within the larger organizations, there'd be a lot more projects that would get funded and addressed, and valuable results built. And I knew that we needed a new kind of consulting company that was built for this faster pace and for this sort of more affordable price point, in order to address all the needs that the world was going to have, and that's been my mission for the past 7 years, is to build that.
Talk about your customers, how big, small they are. I know you've got some local customers as well, but also some pretty big fish as well. Yeah,
I mean, we in the data world, we crunch data and we sign NDAs, right? So everything we work with is very sensitive. So it's hard for me to share the names of all of our clients, but we absolutely have many clients within the Fortune 100, the Fortune 500. But like I said before, there's nothing about BI that's now prohibitively expensive, and so we have even more clients in the small and mid market. Mm-hmm. because the same techniques, the same upgraded techniques that are now available to enterprises are absolutely available to the small and mid market. And it doesn't take much to see just really astounding positive ROI from adopting this stuff.
Yeah, very quickly, we only have about 20 seconds, Rob, but doing business, how is it growing your business here in Indiana? You're a remote business, basically. You have 50 employees, got employees all over the country. What's your take on growing your business in Indiana?
Oh, it's been great. Vibrant local economy, great cost of living, great infrastructure, great airport. I mean, it's a kind of like as the world moves to sort of a more disconnected model, I can't really imagine living in a place better than Indianapolis.
All right. Rob Colley's the CEO at P3 and Business Intelligence, what it's all about. Rob, appreciate you taking the time to visit with us, and we look forward to following your story.
Well, thank you so much, Gary.
Over the past several months, Around Indiana reporter Mary Rachel Redman has traveled the state to showcase buildings listed on Indiana Landmark's 10 Most Endangered list. This week, Mary Rachel gives us an update on a historic hotel in the small city of Attica, along with an aggressive strategy to take downtown Tipton to the next level.
Well, downtown Attica is the very first place we visited on our Endangered Indiana series, and not even 2 weeks passed after we'd made the visit, bulldozers came and took down 2 buildings in the historic downtown district. So 2 historic buildings in the first block of downtown have been completely leveled. The result, 3 empty lots now sitting on the National Register listed streetscape. The city of Attica has purchased a number of buildings downtown and has released a comprehensive economic development plan that includes low-income apartments and new commercial spaces that will fit aesthetically with the remaining historic buildings still standing. As for the storied Hotel Attica, the north wing of the building was recently bulldozed. And officials tell me the plan is to save this historic landmark. However, I followed up with one longtime downtown business owner who we talked with in September, and she says watching these historic buildings come down is like losing a best friend.
I think there was certainly a feeling of loss. You're losing the face and the front of your downtown, and with that comes part of the character of your city. I think it's still a sad statement when we see our historic downtowns just going away like this.
Another small Indiana town, though, is actively working on improving its main street. In September, Tipton's downtown revitalization plan was approved after receiving a $45,000 grant awarded by Okra. The 5-year plan will cost an estimated $5 to $8 million to complete.
The vast majority of rural counties are having declining population, and our projections suggest that we're going to continue with that. So if we're going to help change that trajectory in Tipton, it's going to take a concerted effort and a very focused strategy. And so that was what we hope to achieve through that strategic plan.
Last week, we visited the historic Tipton County Jail and Sheriff's residence, and Schmicker tells me he remains hopeful that the jail will continue to attract interested investors so his team can use the historic landmark as a potential focal point of the city's new redevelopment plan moving forward. And given Indiana Landmark's track record, there's a reasonably good chance that could happen. Since the 10 Most Endangered list debuted in 1991, only 19 of the 146 places that have made the list have been demolished. That's a nearly 87% success rate over the last 30 years. Not too bad.
Indianapolis-based Spot Freight began operations nearly 12 years ago with 2 people in a small office. After years of rapid growth, the company is now planning to add 200 jobs at its downtown headquarters. President and co-founder Andrew Elsener joined us to talk about his company's growth and the role the pandemic is playing.
Yeah, well, Spot Freight, interesting story. I want to talk about growth, but first, interesting how you started 2009, so 11 years ago. And as we were talking off camera a moment ago, when you kind of pitched this idea, there wasn't a lot of great interest, I guess, initially in the company.
No, it's kind of funny. My business partner and I went to our first meeting afterwards, and the recession in 2008 had just hit. The market was falling apart, and the guy looked across the table and said, I think you guys probably need to go ask for your jobs back. So it's kind of an interesting beginning, but here we are 11 years later, still kicking.
You certainly made those folks eat crow, to be sure. You've grown dramatically over these past 11 years. Talk about more recently here, business has really been booming. How has the pandemic, how has that impacted business and third-party logistics?
It is the amount of demand in the market today is unbelievable. Most supply chains, especially in the grocery business, they used to hold 6 weeks of inventory. Within the first days of the pandemic hitting in March, almost all inventories had been depleted. So across from e-commerce to food and beverage, supply chains are booming, and there really isn't enough carrier capacity to meet the demand. So it is a very trying time, and it's been nonstop action for the past 8 months.
Yeah, and I know you are in a hiring mode to try to keep up with that growth. Talk about your interest in hiring 200 sales and related positions here in Indianapolis.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are moving quick to meet the demand of the customer base, the marketplace. So we're looking to add 200 sales types with the support roles that go around them. We also split off a technology company called Red Technologies. We currently have about 50 developers here in Indianapolis local. We will be going out to hire another 50 to 70 next year. So front end, back end type developers, data scientist types to help meet the growth of our technology division.
Yeah, and for those who remember the old Jillian's building in downtown Indianapolis, that's where you are. You expanded, modernized last year. You may be looking to add even additional space. So you're really starting to bust at the seams of your downtown headquarters.
Yeah, absolutely. So we will be in Q1 out of space, and we'll be having to move and make some moves here locally to meet that.
Yeah, very quick. Only have about 30 seconds, Andrew, but you mentioned technology and some of the how technology is an integral part of your business, really, really big part of it.
It is critical. I mean, the stuff we're doing today with very similar to like a ride-hailing app, connecting drivers to shippers, the way we can see trucks moving across the United States. This is a very tech-heavy industry, and hundreds of millions of dollars are flowing into it every day.
Andrew Elsner is the president and co-founder at Spot Freight, headquartered in downtown Indianapolis in a big growth mode. Andrew, always great to talk to you. We look forward to following your continued growth going forward.
All right, Gary, thank you. We appreciate it.
All right.
Remember, you can catch Inside Indiana Business Television on stations throughout the state every weekend. Head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com to check listings. Elanco says it's doubling down on improving the health of animals, people, and the planet with its Healthy Purpose 2030 sustainability commitments. The plan includes pledges about resilient food systems, cutting emissions, and focusing on the health of at least 100 million pets around the world. Elanco President and CEO Jeff Simmons spoke with Kylie Valletta in the Business of Health.
Let's start with a big picture question for you. Just generally, why did Elanco want to launch these commitments?
Yeah, in the heart of what we do, and a lot going on right now in our company with the recent acquisition of Bayer Animal Health, now a little over $4.5 billion in revenue in 100 countries, serving 19 species of animals. We saw COVID really wake up the importance of animals, as you just highlighted, to society. We believe that making animals' lives better makes life better for people. We saw that with the empty meat cases and the importance of quality food, meat and milk and eggs, to the importance of the pet, with animal shelters being empty, and the importance of that pet in the center of the family as we've set in these social distancing kind of environments. So we thought it was absolutely critical to make commitments as this new company and this awakening of how important animals are to society in the course of this decade in all three areas: pets, the planet, and most importantly, protein.
Right. So you have these three pledges, as you just said, the protein pledge, the planet pledge, and the pet pledge. And we don't have time to talk about them all, but what would you like to highlight within those pledges?
Yeah, first of all, I think we've shifted in business from kind of a CSR, corporate social responsibility, to ESG. That's the environment and social and governance is responsible business that knows it can impact society positively, holding ourselves accountable. So these pledges are public. We're going to talk about them. They're measurable. And by doing our business well, by making a healthy enterprise in Elanco, which we have, and driving it over the next decade, we are going to have a positive impact. So just take a couple of those. By helping farmers and veterinarians directly, healthy animals do a few things. First of all, it makes more quality meals and more of them, more accessible meals. So we believe over the course of the decade, what Elanco will do to animal health will create the equivalent of 57 million more meals. That's the equivalent of feeding California and New York every day with high quality protein. And at the same time, walking along with farmers, we're not only going to reduce emissions 21 million tons, but we're going to put them on a road to zero emissions. There are dairy farms, beef and pork farms that actually are working today on and living on a zero footprint. And we're going to do more of that across the globe during this decade.
You touched on this already, but I'd like to dig just a bit deeper into it. You've mentioned that this pandemic, it also shines a light on why these commitments are more important now than ever before. Can you talk just a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think we've seen, and Elanco, what makes a great company to me is a societal need, a great business model. Again, Elanco plus Bayer being able to serve pets and livestock in 100 countries, 19 species. And we have purposeful people that it is their lifestyle, whether that's on the livestock farming side, our employees, or the importance of pets. We saw the importance of this. So I think in many, many homes all over the world right now, we've got almost 7 out of 10 homes in the United States have a pet, and the importance of that. It's only 8 percent, or almost 1 out of 10 in China. The importance of that pet is just an example of how critical it is to the family. What does Elanco do? Well, in the last decade, we've increased the life of that pet by more than 20%. We're going to do that in this next decade, but also the mobility and aging diseases, cancer and diabetes and pain and arthritis. We make a more mobile, active lifestyle of that pet, having such a big impact on people. That's an example of that. We'll do that with our pet pledge.
So let's drill down to Indiana specifically. You recently announced a new effort called Food Secure Indy, and Elanco is a partner in that. Talk about what that initiative is and the important role that local businesses here, who's your businesses, are going to play in that.
Yeah, I'm excited about this initiative, and it's a collaboration of really all 3 of the key pillars that it takes to solve any problem. You need the government. We got the governor and the mayor, and the most collaborative government, I think, organization in the state of Indiana than any other state in the country, I believe. We got the nonprofits, the hunger organizations led by Gleaners and many others. And then companies coming together with commitments, like I just mentioned, that are in this. They're not in it for a one-time campaign, but they're in it for a decade-long commitment. So what we have here in Indianapolis is we saw during COVID a rising up from all 3 of these pillars to say we can't let the students in IPS not have meals. We raised over 1 million meals a month from an initiative that came out of COVID. And when you step back and say, hey, to have enough meals on a monthly basis that's done in a sustainable way, how would we do this, and how many meals will we need to make a food secure Indy? It's about 750,000. So we were 25% higher than we need. So between collaboration, between a coordinated effort, and committed people over the longer period of time, we believe in the shortness of a few years, we could create a food secure Indy, meaning there'll always be poverty, there'll always be need for food relief and hunger, but in a food secure system, enough meals, we believe that this can be done because of the collaboration we have from all these parties. And so that initiative is being launched and really being driven by, again, all 3 pillars that are needed, the government, nonprofits, and the private industry.
All right, very good. Well, it's an exciting plan. I can tell you're excited about it. Thanks for being on the show today and telling us about it. We'll be checking in with you along the way since it's measurable. So we'll be hearing more from you.
Thank you, Kelly.
One of the biggest challenges advanced manufacturers face is creating and maintaining a pipeline of highly skilled workers. InFame is an employer-led college work-based program looking to address that issue in Indiana. We get details from Red Gold Director of Continuous Improvement John Adams and Major Tool and Machine Vice President of Human Resources Kendra O'Brien.
Kendra, I'll start with you. And I mentioned this is a part of a national program, Federation for Advanced Manufacturing Education, the IN, of course, for Indiana. Give us a thumbnail with what the InFame program is all about.
So FAME is a national program that was actually started by Toyota and has been taken over by the National Association of Manufacturers as an umbrella organization, multiple chapters across the country, and we have 4 chapters here in Indiana. Our goal is to find students or adults who are looking for a career transition into basically an industrial maintenance or an advanced manufacturing technician role within the company. They go to school 3 days a week and work for the sponsoring employer 2 days a week for about 2 years. They earn an associate's degree and get a wealth of job experience, and then typically the sponsoring employer offers them a position at the time that they graduate.
Yeah, really a great combination there in terms of the hands-on and the educational piece. And again, and Kendra, I'll have you talk quickly on this. It's really addressing a big need, and that's workforce, and in particular skilled workforce, because that's a big issue in manufacturing, also a lot of sectors as well.
It is. Skilled workforce in general is very difficult. And this particular occupation, every single manufacturing company requires these type of people. Doesn't matter what the company manufactures, they are going to require this level of skilled technician in their facility.
Yeah. John, as you look at the program, what I think is interesting, a number of participating companies, including yours, Red Gold, but you're really looking at the needs that these participating companies have, and then you're going out and recruiting some of these students or adults to participate in the program, right?
That is correct. Yeah, we, ultimately, as Kendra said, we are having difficulty filling those skilled technician roles. It's difficult to fill them, but to fill them with folks that are work ready, that bring in a multi-dimensional skill set, and that are well balanced with soft skills. And ultimately, that is the beauty of this program. Is we're recruiting, as Kendra said, high school students or incumbent workers, folks that really want to further their career in the skilled trades. Bring them into this program, have them go through a pretty regimented, rigorous curriculum, which is a Vincennes University curriculum with a core technical skill set. But the beauty of this program is the manufacturers, the sponsoring employers that participate, we really value the factory competence elements that are built into the program, such as safety culture, visual organization, lean manufacturing principles, and problem solving. But we also get those hard to find soft skills, professional behaviors, such as initiative, diligence, attendance, organization, time management, and of course, social media etiquette.
Yeah,
the program teaches those AMT students this well balanced curriculum.
Yep, John, quickly, because I know in terms of the impact of the program, the Brookings Institution did a study. I think it was on the FAME program in Kentucky. But give us just a thumbnail of some of the findings there.
That's right. So just recently, the Brookings Institute studied FAME, specifically in the state of Kentucky, which is Kentucky FAME. And what that report displayed is that the 2-year graduation rate of FAME is around 85%, which is superior to comparable technical programs where that graduation completion percentage is 30 to 40%. Additionally, the graduation wage level, the salary level, was also superior in comparison to other programs. We can expect after 1 year after completion of the FAME program that a new technician would be earning around the $60,000 figure. After 3 years, approaching $90,000, and then after 5 years post graduation, we're looking at around the six-figure salary level, which is should be very attractive to young people. There is a prosperous life, a prosperous career to be found in skilled trades.
All right, very good. John Adams, the Director of Continuous Improvement at Red Gold, Kendra O'Brien, VP of Human Resources at Major Tool and Machine. I know two great organizations involved in the program, now recruiting that 2021 cohort, and we look forward to following both of your stories with your companies going forward. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Derek.
Because of the ever-changing world of technology, companies constantly find themselves upgrading. Fishers-based Mobile Resell has dialed up a model that helps get retired corporate mobile devices into the hands of less fortunate students who often desperately need them. Mobile Resell founder and CEO Benjamin Jones and Vice President of Enterprise Sales Chris Berry joined us to run down how the effort works.
This is an interesting story, I think, on in several ways. One, what you're doing with the products, but your company has been a success story and a growth story. Ben, talk about that, because essentially you launched in 2015. Give us the business model and what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely. It's we've experienced tremendous growth over the last, I would say, 6 years, and really our model is focused on providing software-driven mobile device recovery solutions for companies, whether they're large or small. Traditionally, again, businesses are accustomed to very antiquated end-of-life processes, and we're really targeting changing that mindset for them through proprietary software that we built. So it's been an exciting 6 years for sure. We'll
talk about growth, because you're up to, I know, 15 employees, which is a multiple of what you've done or where you were just a couple of years ago. Talk about revenue growth and how that's been.
Yeah, definitely. I think the last time we were on your show, we had about 5 people, and we've tripled that in the last, I would say, 2 years. We've experienced around 173% average year-over-year growth. And this year, even through the pandemic, it was our best year. So we'll end up around $6 million in total revenue this year, slightly down from what we had projected at about $10 million. But with COVID really hitting a lot of our enterprises pretty hard in regards to their employee headcount and growth. So not doing as many mobile device refreshes and new deployments, but at the same time, we've been very fortunate to be able to help some of our customers in a variety of different ways.
Yep, this process, Chris, can be complicated. Talk, if you could, give people an idea of the technology and how it works and how you do what you do.
Absolutely. So the technology is at the core of what we do as a business. In most competitive situations, it's a very old school way of returning devices. It's very spreadsheet driven. And we've updated our software even yet this year to really focus on integrations with the internal systems that some of our companies are using. So we are offering additional visibility that helps drive the accountability for employees to return devices, and even offered some features like an integrated employee purchase program to allow companies to retire these devices in new and unique ways.
Yeah, and the business opportunity presented in the pandemic, and that's so many young people distance learning. This is a way to get mobile devices right in the hands of people who can really use them.
Absolutely. And we've actually seen a great case study in our American Airlines refresh, where over 30% of the devices we refreshed for American Airlines were purchased back by pilots and repurposed as their personal devices within their households.
Wow, very, very interesting. Quickly, Ben, 30 seconds left. You haven't raised money yet. You haven't needed to. You've had cash on hand, but you're going to raise some money looking ahead to 2021.
Yeah, exactly. We have some new technology that we want to release in the next year. As Chris kind of mentioned, we want to build upon our platform, and definitely there's some interesting opportunities for us to be able to utilize cash and already build upon what we've built the last couple of years. So one thing we're confident in because of our funding, our growth through our profitability, is really knowing where to allocate this capital and knowing what works and where we allocate that capital. So looking to raise money this year, and we expect 2021 to be a great year.
All right, Ben Jones, Chris Berry from Mobile Resale. Congrats on the growth. We look forward to following your story.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Gary.
And finally this week, as Indianapolis prepares to host its 8th Final Four in April, third graders in classrooms throughout the state are shooting for a championship involving books. Read to the Final Four is a literacy program involving a personalized reading tournament, complete with a selection show in January. Final Four Local Organizing Committee co-chair and former WNBA star Katie Douglas talked with Bill Benner on Inside Indiana Sports.
How did this come about? We'll talk about the program momentarily, but how did your involvement come about?
Sure. Well, I was approached by Indiana Sports Corp. It seems like forever ago, maybe 18, 20 months ago, as far as being interested in being a co-chair. And obviously I read through the information they provided and I didn't read through much of it. I just knew that I wanted to be a part of it. I've always loved Indianapolis, and having the Final Four now for the 8th time. It's just unbelievable to be a part of that and to watch this event and to watch it from the start to the finish. So I was super excited to be the co-chair, and I'm really excited about what Indianapolis can do for this Final Four.
And your co-chair is another basketball legend, Quinn Buckner of IU, and now with the Indiana Pacers. So talk about the program. Time is approaching for the deadline to get involved in the tournament. I think some more than 200 schools have already signed up. But this is, again, an online interactive program where when you sign on and as you read it, the program actually logs the students' minutes.
Absolutely. So like you said, there's kind of a little sense of urgency because November the 10th is the final deadline to register to be eligible for the March Madness portion of the competition. What's really important is it's free. It's for third grade students throughout the entire state of Indiana. Like you mentioned, we have over 250 schools currently signed up. We want as many schools as we can have because we've got the Division I, Division II, and Division III championships. So we're just trying to make this a huge, huge impact for the state. It's super easy for teachers. So teachers, no stress. We just need your either teacher, your superintendent, school system to get the classroom, again, third grade classroom signed up. They can go to final4indy.com/read. Again, that's final4indy.com/read to get signed up. They get on the MyOn platform. Teachers don't have to do anything. Once they get set up on the MyOn, it logs everything for them. So that's really nice. And it's really kind of student initiated. So the students can get on there, log the minutes that they read every day, every week. And then they're in a competition if you register prior to November 10th. And then after the 10th, again, you can register. You're just not eligible for that March Madness.
And I believe sometime late January, early February, they will actually announce a bracket. So you'll have, I love this, a 68 school bracket. And then the teams that advance, they will actually be recognized during the men's Final Four here in Indianapolis. I think that's terrific.
I mean, I think it's so cool for the students to engage and take part in this Final Four. I think it's huge. Indianapolis is huge in making sure that the events are bigger than the Final Four and making sure that we capture that youth and make sure we kind of use the Final Four as a platform, again, to encourage and motivate them to read. So there's going to be, like you said, that selection show on January 29th where they're going to announce 68 teams. So from November the 10th all the way up to the 28th. They'll be logging those minutes, and then 68 classrooms will be selected, and they'll compete like a championship, like the March Madness. So they'll get that feeling. They're going to get prizes throughout the tournament, throughout the championship. So it's super cool, super exciting for the kids, again, to motivate, encourage, and find the love and passion for reading.
Well, Katie, again, I think on behalf of everybody here in Indianapolis, it's great to see you again. And you have had such an incredible career, not only winning the championship at Purdue, but as a champion of the WNBA Indiana Fever. So great to see you again. Thanks for doing this, and we hope to see you soon.
All right, sounds good.
That wraps up this week's Inside Indiana Business Television podcast. Remember, you can find all of this week's TV segments, as well as the top business news from throughout the state, at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to our platform of free e-newsletters. This is Andy Ober for Inside Indiana Business.